Podcast 145, A Bajan Cast in a Net, ISBN 978 976 9682474. Just as Barbadians or Bajans form by omitting the first syllable of Barbadians and by pronouncing the DI with a J sound, are the people who are identified with the country of Barbados by being citizens or their descendants in the Barbadian diaspora. The connection may be residential, legal, historical, and or cultural, according to wikipedia.org. That said, just as Barbadian is the formal and official name for citizens of the Caribbean island of Barbados, but contrasting with what has already been in Barbados, the term Bajan is used by the majority of people in everyday life, according to hmbbarbados.info. This admission has influenced my thinking as an author, cinematographer, media arts specialist, licensed cultural practitioner, podcaster, and publisher to proffer the phrase a Bajan casting a net. Contextually speaking, a Bajan casting a net is not only a linguistic expression, but a conversation which was captured and framed in publication 271 and ventilated in this podcast 145 in ISBN 978 976 9682474. As a media arts specialist, I am at my natural best on account of education and researching a Bajan casting a net. The data on Earth has fascinated and intrigued my cognition and cognitive skills at how the net is cast or thrown by hand by a Bajan in such a manner that it spreads out while it's in the air before it sinks into the water. My mother, Ira Louise Mears Gittins, said to me on many occasions that, I quote, "In times past, some Bajans use this technique to support their families.
Great.
The same is called net casting or net throwing," end quote. As a result of this action, according to Dunbar, fish are caught as the net is hauled back in. As a result of this action, that is, how the net is cast or thrown by hand, this simple technological device is particularly effective for catching small bait or forage fish and has been in use with various modifications for thousands of years, according to wikipedia.org. It should be noted that according to espressoenglish.net, the word cast in this context means the same thing to throw, but the word cast is a little bit of an old-fashioned word, especially in everyday English. We usually don't use this word. Actually, the only place where we do use cast is in the sport of fishing. Another component of this technology is the fact that, according to boatingmag.com, cast nets are typically offered in 3/4 pound, 1 pound, and 1.5 pounds of lead weight per foot of radius. These lead weights are equally spaced at the bottom of the net. The rule of thumb is the more lead and the tighter it's spaced, the faster the net will sink and the more bait you will catch with each throw, according to boatingmag.com. Most importantly, one of the uses for nylon is fishing nets because it is strong and doesn't deteriorate when exposed to salt water for long periods of time. However, many fish nets are left behind in the ocean, accidentally or on purpose, making up about 10% of the plastic trash in the oceans, according to materialdistrict.com. In this ambience, according to Bait Cloud, the morning is a good time for casting fish nets because sun warms the shallow water and creates the optimum temperature that's softer for fish to maneuver and jump around as they feed. This makes for the perfect time to cast your net or line. Late morning is even better, according to baitcloud.com.
Wonderful, great.
So, the next time you want to practice shallow and top water lures, we strongly recommend early mornings and late afternoons. You will see the fish cruise to the shallows for food because the temperature is cooler and the lights are lower during these times. It's reported that fish like to hang around near the water surface on a full moon night, just like every species in the world. Fish also have behavioral patterns that are affected by seasons. Knowledge on this craft suggests that you don't fish on a windy day. Rising and falling tides can affect fish activities and behavior to a large extent. A cloudy day doesn't necessarily mean that the fish are not biting. If you understand nuances of when to fish and what affects fish behaviors, it will greatly increase the odds of you catching a lot of fish, according to baitcloud.com. Finally, I must confess, as a result of contextualizing the proffered phrase, a Bajan casting a net is also deemed a linguistic expression and a conversation which was captured and framed in publication 271 and ventilated in this podcast 145 in ISBN 978 976 968 2474.
Wonderful, great.